Another back-to-back show. We had 3 hours of AEW programming here tonight, Collision and Rampage, and I am here to break it all down and discuss what was actually a very entertaining 3 hours. It is Saturday, April 27th. I'm your girl, Denise Salcedo, and let's get right to it, everybody. So, it's funny because I was sort of just nervous kind of heading into the show, guys, and most of you know how I feel about these 3 hour shows. They kind of take a lot out of you, right? Because I'm already committing myself to 3 hours on Monday night for Raw. A little bit used to that, a lot more, especially because it's a Monday. Okay, it's the start of the work week. Cool, fine. It's my job, fine. But committing 3 hours on a Saturday is a whole different beast, a whole different animal. And so there's times where I kind of go into these shows going, please let it be worth it. Me tuning in for 3 hours on a Saturday. And so thankfully, I will say that it was definitely worth it today because we got some really good stuff on today's episode of Collision. And the start of Rampage, I thought was really good. Unfortunately, the last half hour of Rampage, I did start to feel a little bit tired. I definitely felt tired by the last half hour of it all. But again, the start of Rampage definitely still gained my interest. But then again, they were doing a parking lot fight. So who was not going to be interested in a bunch of guys going out there or two guys going out there and fighting and having blood and using cars and all of the madness that occurred in that match. So that was definitely going to keep me awake and on my toes there. But let's go ahead and jump right in. I want to start off with talking about what actually worked today on Collision. You all know my gripes with Collision. I'm not even going to rehash those because most of you already know how I feel about just sort of the layout of the show. Sometimes feels very missable, maybe one or two good matches here and there, but nothing really that I got to tune in for on a Saturday, right? Well, today's show definitely felt different. And the big thing that really helped today's show was one, it felt refreshing because we saw a lot of returning names, either talent that were out due to injury or talents that we just rarely see. We're talking Rey Fenix. I keep wanting to say freaking Black Taurus, but Black Taurus is no longer Black Taurus. He's Beast Mortos. Beast Mortos, formerly known as Black Taurus. And we also had Rouge. We even had the Grizzled Young Vets come out and make their debut. So there was definitely a lot of moving parts when it came to bringing in new faces or faces that we hadn't seen in a while. And so that definitely helped make the show feel refreshing because, again, I absolutely hate just getting a bunch of matches with stars and jobbers. I don't want to see that. And that's what Collision became for so many weeks. And so this show did not have that. It had maybe one or two matches, I think, that were like that. Maybe even just one. And truthfully, it was fine. It didn't feel like it was the entire show. And so I felt really good about that. The other thing that I did like about Collision today, too, is that I didn't feel like there were any boring storylines. And I kind of felt like there were some storylines on previous episodes that felt a little bit dull, right? And maybe it had been because I wasn't tuning into Collision as much. But regardless, I didn't feel that way today. That was another thing I liked. The other thing I liked was that we actually had some main stories from Dynamite that were enhanced today through Collision. And I feel like that was nice because as a weekly viewer of Dynamite, I liked that I tuned into Collision today because there are some things that happened on Collision that are going to be good to know when I tune into Dynamite and review Dynamite every Wednesday. So I felt like those were really the three main portions of Collision that really worked this week. And on top of that, we had a really strong main event for Collision. And we're going to talk about that in just a second because there's a lot more to dive into in regards to that. But I'm going to go ahead and get into some of these super chats and see what you, the people, felt about this. So here we go. First and foremost, as always, thank you so much to Sheldon Jackson for gifting 5 DWO memberships. We got Grapple Geekery, who's been a DWO member for a year, who says, it's my 1-year member Denise anniversary. Hell yeah, Grapple Geekery. Thank you so freaking much for dude, being a part of the DWO for a whole freaking year. I appreciate you, man. We also have Grapple Geekery here saying, random. Have you seen stand-up comedian Josh Johnson's routine explaining Taylor Swift fandom by comparing it to professional wrestling fandom? What? No, I had not even heard of that. I don't even know who Josh Johnson is. So if you can send me the link, please feel free to do so over on social media. That'll probably work where I can actually see it. But talk about my two worlds colliding. I appreciate you letting me know about that. We got Crazy 101 here who says, with Collision and Rampage, another 3-hour block next week. So Reg and I have discussed this a lot on our Dynamite post show, and it's starting to feel fishy. How many times especially how many more times in the last couple of months we have been getting these 3-hour blocks, whether it's Collision and Rampage or Dynamite and Rampage. And today, of course, Collision and Rampage. And this coming Wednesday, we're getting Rampage immediately following Dynamite. And I'm not crazy about it. I haven't been crazy about it since the beginning. It just kind of it makes me nervous. But I feel like they are happy with the numbers that they're seeing for Rampage in regards to it following either a Collision or a Dynamite. And I think it might even be doing better than just a standalone Rampage. So I'm starting to feel like this is something we're going to probably be seeing a lot more often. It kind of feels like we already are. And it's literally going to be back-to-back shows with 3-hour AEW content. So it's a little fishy. Hey, we got Stephen Martrulli here who says, with AEW having 3 shows, make one of them the women's show. You know, I've never been personally about just like making one show entirely for one gender. And the reason I say that, at least from my perspective, is I just feel like you shouldn't have to separate the division in order for people to like want to tune in. I feel like they should always be incorporated into the storylines, you know, equally. And so for that reason, I'm not too crazy about just doing a women's only show, because I feel like part of trying to move forward with women's wrestling is treating them on an equal platform with the men, being on the same show with the men, and going from there. And you can see it differently, because it could be a thing of like, oh, look at the women, like they got their whole show. But personally, I feel that that's sort of a step backwards instead of a step forward. And that's just my personal opinion on that. We also have Roberto Arsenal here who says, shout out to Tony Khan wearing the neck brace at all 3 days at the NFL draft. They even got the Jaguars' first-round pick to give warm wishes to Tony. Let me tell you, that whole thing with Tony Khan and his neck brace on social media has been the talk of the town. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen this, but just a couple of minutes ago, like maybe 30 minutes ago or so, Roderick Strong, my favorite wrestler, Roderick Strong, he shared this picture of him and Tony Khan with the freaking neck brace. And it was so funny. Let me see if I can import it here. Actually, I think I still have it here on my desktop because I had just shared it on Facebook. So let me put this up for you guys right now in case you guys missed it. Here it is. Check it out. Tony Khan and Roderick Strong with their neck braces. And this was definitely the picture that we had been waiting for, on top, of course, of Tony Khan wearing the neck brace at the NFL draft. So him coming out and doing that picture with Roddy is hilarious because, of course, hashtag neck strong. So good stuff there, man. Good stuff there. We got Travis Lindsay here who says back-to-back has to do with sports on TNT and TBS. Look, all I'm going to say is I feel, while that's the reasons we're seeing, I still feel there's a lot more to that. I personally feel there's a lot more to that. And we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you so much, Travis, for the super chat. I appreciate you, man. All right, so let's keep it going. Let's dive into Collision and what went down. So I want to start things off with Swerve Strickland, and we're going to talk about that promo, where it might be going, as well as the main event that we got here today. All right, so this is kind of sick. So there was some criticisms in regards to the presentation of Swerve Strickland on Dynamite following Dynasty, right? There were some people that were like, "Oh, that should have been the opening match," or "Hey, we should have gotten a promo for Swerve Strickland." There was a lot of conversation around that. However, I felt personally happy that we got to see Swerve Strickland wrestle immediately following Dynasty, because that already set this tone for what kind of champion Swerve is going to be. When I think about why Swerve got over with the AEW audience, he got over because of the matches that he was having. Those matches, that story that he had with Hangman Page, that's what got Swerve Strickland over, is the wrestling portion. So now that he's champion, you want to continue that. Like, the AEW fan base really wants to see a champion that's a fighting champion. And so seeing Swerve go out and have that match on Dynamite was a start, of course. But then they followed it up, and I definitely preferred the presentation that we saw here today on Collision 10 times more than the presentation of him as champion on Dynamite this past Wednesday. This was 100 times better. And the reason for that was, not only did we get him in a match, but we also got the promo, and there might be some Easter eggs in there as to where this story may be going. So when I started this podcast today, I said that part of the reason that I enjoyed tuning into Collision today was because I feel like this particular story is definitely going to help that I tuned in to Collision, found out what Swerve had to say, and this is going to help when I tune into Dynamite on Wednesday. And so basically, the big thing from this was two things. One, Swerve Strickland addressed Jack Perry's actions, in which the Elite hit TK with the TK driver, and of course, taking out Tony Khan the way that Jack Perry did with the microphone. So he calls it this bitch move. We even get bitch moves chant. It killed me, by the way. We got bitch moves chants today on TV. But the big thing that sort of came from that portion is, all right, clearly Swerve Strickland bringing this up. He's bringing this up. Why? Because he is the AEW champion. He is the face of the company right now as champion. And he is a babyface. So, of course, your babyface champion is going to come out and talk about what the bad guys did to the boss. So you have that aspect of it. But the other aspect of it is, okay, we now need to hear a response to this from either the Bucks or Jack Perry. We need to hear a response to what Swerve said. They just can't be... He literally said it was a bitch move. You can't have someone said that you did something that was a bitch move and not respond to that. So I am expecting to hear the Elite respond to Swerve and what he had to say about that. And on Wednesday, there was a lot of people in our chat. Me and Reg spoke about it. We were talking about this whole Team Elite versus Team AEW. That's where a lot of this feels like it's going. And it's looking right now like Swerve is definitely going to be on Team AEW as, of course, AEW World Champion. So let's hope that that's the direction that they end up going in, because if it is, that would be an interesting story. And again, just based off the way that this promo began with Swerve, that sort of feels like a direction that they may be heading in. So of course, we'll find out more over on Dynamite. The other thing that I liked about this, and this was a small little thing that kind of went a long way, is that Swerve, before becoming champion, he was a big heel. He was a massive heel. This man broke in to another man's home and talked to another man's child while his child was sleeping and his wife was in the other room. Okay. That is some next level heel shit right there. And so the fact that we really, like, Swerve turned babyface because the crowd saw him as sort of like this, I don't know, they saw him as like an underdog maybe. They saw him as a guy that was talented and they wanted to see him get to this main event spot. So it was more so that he turned babyface because of the wrestling, because of the cool things that he did in that death match with Hangman Page. And like the people weren't going to root against a guy that was doing all of these cool things that people were reacting to. And so, but technically, like the actions of Swerve were still, prior to this, still heel actions. So today in this particular promo, he brought up something that painted him in a different light, in the light that we're seeing him in now. And that is him bringing up his daughter. So he brings up his daughter and says that the daughter told him like, oh, I don't even, like, I'm proud of you, Dad, but I don't even know you. And he talks about his relationship with his daughter and basically this being this whole thing where he has missed a lot of parties. We all know that wrestlers are on the road a lot. So he wants to prove to his daughter that this was definitely worth it and thus puts himself, pipes up his AEW championship reign. So I felt like this was the first time that we got a different look at Swerve, a different side to who he is. Now we got Swerve, who is a father. And we got to see that side because we never saw that side before. Before, we were seeing him be a menace to other people's children. So that was another thing that I liked as well. I thought that was really good. But then the other thing that happened with this was that Claudio Castagnoli answered Swerve Strickland's open challenge. And so now that's 2 weeks already that he's been champion. Not 2 weeks, excuse me, 2 shows. 2 shows that he's been champion. And on both of the shows, he has wrestled. And I love that because I do want to see a fighting champion. But anyways, this match, guys, with Claudio Castagnoli, please, if you have time, I believe, I'm not even too sure, guys, if AEW posts the highlights up on their YouTube page, go check it out. Or go check out the match itself. Like, this is definitely a match that I would go out of my way to go watch because it really was good. And here's the thing, like the match with Kyle Fletcher, that was a good match too. Unfortunately for me, what took out of it that particular day was the audio issues. That really took away from me for the match, but the match was still good. But it did not compare to what we saw today with Swerve and Claudio. And the reason this match in particular was very good, honestly, the pacing was great from this. There was no moments where I felt like I was bored. They kept the energy throughout the entire thing. It was hard hitting. And Claudio really made Swerve work to successfully defend his championship. Like Claudio basically said, this is my chance to become champion. I don't care that this guy just became champion. This is my chance and I am going to fight for it. And that is literally the message, the vibe that we got from Claudio. And on Swerve's side, it was like, dude, I just became champion. I'm out here proving myself. I can't lose in my first title defense because the match with Kyle Fletcher was a championship eliminator match. So this was his official first title defense. And there was just a lot of really great moments. And I was laughing because I was eating ice cream during this, guys. I went to this place called, and this is not an ad, by the way, but there's this place by my house called Handles or Hendels. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys might have one of those. Anyways, it just opened up and it's literally like really close to me. And a lot of people are always there. And so I always wondered, like, damn, this ice cream must be good if people are out in line. So I finally ordered it. And so it came during this match. And so I was like chugging down my ice cream. Black cherry, really good. They actually put real cherries in there, which was great. But whatever, this isn't an ad or a commercial for Handles, or Handles, whatever it's called. I was about to make a funny joke, but never mind. All right, so Handles, I was eating that. And whatever, right? Put my ice cream away and I'm continuing watching the match. And freaking Claudio does this big swing on Swerve Strickland. And I shit you not, I got secondhand motion sickness watching that. And I think part of the reason was I had just eaten my little ice cream, I had an ice cream belly, and I was watching this man be spun in circles. And you know, Claudio, it always feels like he goes extra long. He's gone extra long with a lot of opponents, but oh, I felt this one, guys. I felt this one with Swerve. I felt it. But there was some really good moments. One in particular was what I think was cool too, in speaking of moments, it was the counters. The counters that we saw in this match is, I think, would really hit home. And there was a moment where Swerve did attempted a stomp, but freaking Claudio countered that with an uppercut. And so it just looked really nice. Please take your time to go watch this match. It was very, very enjoyable. Of course, eventually Swerve does hit the Swerve stomp, and then he hits the what does he call it? The house call. He hits the house call and gets the win. So I definitely feel like this match and the presentation of Swerve today made up for the more of a little bit of a, I don't want to say lackluster, but maybe the lack of the presentation that we got on Dynamite for him, especially considering that he had just won the championship. They definitely made up for it here today on Collision. And that was really one of my favorite things here on the show. So here we go. We got some super chats here. This one's from Toni, who says, I love the 3 hours of Saturdays. Thunder Rosa versus Deanna on Rampage was great. Anna Jay going heel with the Elite is going to be great. AEW Ring of Honor is the best. And if you were going to ask me, Denise, do you prefer 3 hours on Wednesday or do you prefer 3 hours on Saturday? I'm going to say I prefer the 3 hours on Saturday, oddly enough, because how I explain this, like I'm going to be every Wednesday, I'm going to tune in, right? Depends on the card if I'm going to tune in, right? Or it's depending if I got, not the card really. It's more so for me, well, if I don't have a birthday party to go to, or if I don't have some really important thing to do on a Saturday, all right, well then you know what? I'm going to get my ass to work and I'm going to watch Collision and Rampage and cover the show. So for that reason, I would prefer it to be on a Saturday because at least it'd feel a little optional for me versus if it's on a Wednesday, it feels a little bit more mandatory because obviously, you know, I'm making sure to tune in every Wednesday and I never miss an episode of Dynamite. So there you go. I would pick Saturday for show over Wednesday. All right, so let's keep it going. There's a lot of good stuff, and I see a lot of people here in the chat bringing it up, and man, I cannot wait to get into some of these. So the other thing that we need to get to right away, because this is very important, and again, I said this, you tuned into today's show and you actually got some information that you're going to need when tuning into Dynamite, and this one is a big one. So we're talking about Tony Khan and the neck brace and everything that went down this whole week, and we have an update, an important storyline update in regards to this. So Tony Schiavone made an announcement that the doctors have advised that Tony Khan cannot travel. He can still work, but he cannot travel, which means that he will have to run AEW remotely from Jacksonville. And so we all know what this means. This is opening the door. This is giving leeway to who? The Elite. The Elite to basically go and start running amok over AEW. It really is going to be all Elite wrestling. So that was really a lot of what people were predicting, and it's definitely moving in that direction. So that was really, truly the big update there. And so I wonder, you know, it's funny, whenever Tony Khan in storyline comes back to television, we're going to get like a big pop for Tony Khan, man. That's going to be super hilarious. But there you go. So it's exciting to see how they're starting to shape this whole Team Elite, Team AEW possibility moving forward with the show. So good stuff across the board there. We got Hamburger Helper here who says the Elite versus Team AEW, Anarchy in the Arena. Dude, I really freaking hope so. That's the vibe that I'm getting right now. As I mentioned earlier, Swerve calling this a move, a bitch move. You think Jack Perry and the Elite are going to take that comment lying down, especially now when they have power, and they've always had the power and authority of being EVPs, right? But now that Tony Khan is not going to be on location, he's not going to be physically there. So now it opens up more possibilities for them to just continue running Rampage on the show. So, or running Rampage. You get me. So yes, this is definitely where I think they're headed. Definitely where I think they're headed. And right now it's looking like Swerve might be the one leading that team AEW. So Ooh, it's getting good, guys. It's getting good. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on because there was some other really great stuff that we got on the show. So I'm going to go in order. So let's go ahead and get into the AEW Unified World Trios Championship. The Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, Austin, and Colten versus Action Andretti and Top Flight. So this one, there's really two things really that I want to say in regards to this. Yes, two things really. One, Action Andretti. Action Andretti was working today. Dude was hustling, man. And the big thing about Action Andretti is I feel like he's going to be the guy. I feel like he needs to, at some point, he's going to have to get out of the shadows, right? Of being in the trios. He's going to have to get out of the shadows and he's going to have this sort of glow up. At some point, we're going to have to see Action Andretti become his own person with a full-fledged, stronger, full-fledged character, more of a confidence, I think, because singles guys that become champion, they have a swagger to them, they have an aura to them, and right now, Action Andretti has all of the things that can make him this big single star in AEW. Of course, because he's still young, he's shaping. He is molding himself. They're doing all of that to eventually get him to that point. But dang, man, just like even watching him wrestle on the show, like he really just goes out there and he freaking works. And right away, like I'm watching Action Andretti and I'm going, oh, I can't wait to see down the line once Action Andretti is more of a stronger singles wrestler with a whole character and everything. I can't wait to see him go up against Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay, Swerve, like all of these people that I think he could really mix it up with. I cannot wait to see that. And so this match kind of got me more so excited about Action Andretti. Plus, it had been a while since I'd seen Action Andretti in action, of course, because he's not on Dynamite very often. So it had been a second since I'd seen Action Andretti in action. So this to me was a little bit of a reminder of why I was personally a fan of his and why I'm still a fan of his. And then really the other thing was, I'm happy that the Bullet Club Gold, is no longer tied down to this Acclaimed storyline. Of course, that all ended on Dynasty. Thank God. We had been waiting for this, and my goodness, does it feel refreshing. I want to see them work against anybody else. I never want to see them with the Acclaimed, at least not right now. Give me a nice little lengthy break. And those were truly the two things that I was thinking about while I was watching this matchup. A good win. Of course, Bullet Club Gold retains. We got Big Hero Chris who says AEW finesse Denise to watch Rampage again. I'm starting to think someone heard me say I am watching Rampage, and they were like, nah, we're going to make this bitch tune in to watch Rampage. And there I am tuning in to watch Rampage. I've watched at least 3 or 4 episodes of Rampage this year. That's way more than I have in the last couple of months. So yes, I'm being forced to watch Rampage now. But you know what though? I enjoyed it for what it was today. We got well-rounded Leo who says they made Swerve title win seem unimportant. They booked the FTW, TBS, and IWGP title more important than the AEW title. So that was on Dynamite. And I get it because I mentioned earlier that we seen the criticism of that. We saw the criticism of that across the board with people mentioning that. But again, I really do think they made up for it today on Collision with the way that Swerve was presented, with the promo, with the banger match that he had with Claudio Castagnoli. So I think that they are fully aware of what mistakes were made on Dynamite, and I don't think that they're going to be repeating those with Swerve down the line. So I feel like they're pretty on top of that. Well-rounded Leo, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that very freaking much. All right, so dude, here we go. Get excited. This one's it. Rey Fenix versus Beast Mortos. So there are certain matches, guys. Everyone here has the match that when you look at it, you're like, damn, this was made for me. Whoever you are, everyone here has a match that when they look at it, you're like, I swear to God, this match was booked for me. Everyone here, put it in the comments. You have certain matches that you know are booked specifically for you based on the taste that you like. And you're like, this has got my name written all over it. And my friends, Mine was Rey Fenix versus Beast Mortos. And again, formerly known as Black Taurus, for those of you who, I don't know, just missed the boat on it. So this is not a new match, guys. This is not a new match. We have seen these two go at it a bunch of times in different promotions and literally a bunch of times. And just because we've seen it a bunch of times does not mean that I don't want to see it again. And of course, we've gone 10 months without seeing Rey Fenix. We hadn't seen him since October, and he's finally back. So freaking happy Rey Fenix is back. And he goes in this match with Beast Mortos, and they have a freaking entertaining match. And this is, if you've seen these two wrestle, you guys know what kind of match this was. And I like to call this a chips and dip match. And some of you guys are sitting here going, what the hell is she talking about? This to me is a chips and dip match. By that I mean, doesn't matter how many times I have chips and dip. I don't care. Every meal, put it up there as a starter. Doesn't matter how many times I've seen it. I will take it and I will devour it each time. My friends, this is my chips and dip match. Rey Fenix, Beast Mortos. You get it now. Anyways, this was a hell of a good time. There was one particular moment, and you can find it on social media because I have already seen the clip be spread all over. And it was a specific moment where Rey Fenix literally walks, stomps, dances, however you want to describe it, on top of the head of Beast Mortos. I'm not kidding you. Dude freaking starts walking on his head and shoulders. Shout out to Head and Shoulders. But seriously, it was such a freaking cool visual. But here's the thing. It was even cooler because, so you see him on top of him doing the little dance on his head. And then, I don't even know how, but finally when he hits the ground, turns around, Beast Mortos comes out and spears him. Takes him down. Oh, that was so freaking good. Loved the lung blower too. That was awesome. Eventually, Rey hits with the, Rey wins the match with the frog splash. Cool. This match was hella fun. So happy to see Rey Fenix back. Can't wait to see what they do there. But I really hope, I want to see Rey Fenix be one of the guys that, of course, we know that the Lucha Brothers, they have such a vast history now with AEW champions. Of course, we talk about the best of 7 series all the time. We talk about so much about the Lucha Brothers, but I want to see more of Rey Fenix really get his comeuppance as a singles person. Of course, it does not mean I want the Lucha Brothers to break up. Of course not. What am I, crazy? Of course not. But I do want to see more Rey Fenix singles matches because there's still a lot of people that I would love to see him go one-on-one with because I know that they will be bangers. And I don't care. I will tune into Collision every week as long as there is a Rey Fenix match on the card. So come on, guys. We got to give some more love to Rey Fenix and as well as Beast Mortos because he's always been one of my favorites, dude. I mean, literally, I have his mask right here, guys. I'm a fan of this dude. And it's going to take me a while to get used to the new name, Beast Mortos, because every time I say it, I feel like I have to look at it for while I was watching this match, I kept calling them Black Mortos because I was thinking Black Taurus and then I was thinking Beast Mortos. So I was just calling them all sorts of names. But Beast Mortos is now the name. So there you go. All right. So we got a couple more super chats here. And this one's from Delayed Gratz, who says, Swerve defending his title against Claudio is not a downgrade. It's not like he wanted Ivar and Carmelo Hayes. I know, shots fired. Damn, Delayed Gratz came in today and chose violence. By the way, if we did have a match between Swerve and Ivar, I'm sure that would be great. And if we had a match between Swerve and Carmelo, I'm pretty sure that would be pretty damn good too. But no, defending his title against Claudio Castagnoli is 100% not a downgrade, as you saw here today based on the performance that we saw. Definitely not a downgrade. All right, so let's keep it going. And this next match, so I had mentioned earlier that there was only one match where we kind of got, a star versus a jobber. And of course, I was cool with it this week because it was not something that we saw throughout the entire show. On Collision, on past episodes of Collisions, that was one of my big annoyance, was seeing so many of these matches. In this particular case, it worked out perfectly fine. And this was Rush versus Martin Stone. So the big thing that I want to talk about in regards to this is, please, for the love of God, give Rush a real storyline. That is all I want to see, guys. Rush is not only a very entertaining wrestler, we always talk about the charisma. That's like the big thing we get to. But the thing that Rush has that is not easy to come by is this aura of attitude. So by that, I mean, when you see guys like, for example, Samoa Joe, you're like, oh, this guy's going to kill whoever he's in the ring with. Why? Because he has that aura of, I'm going to F you up and I'm not going to give any shits about it. Like, I will ruin you, right? Like, that's the aura Samoa Joe gives. And Rush has that aura. Rush has that aura. And I feel like AEW has not been utilizing that enough. Like, you have a guy that legitimate, I look at him and I go, oh, he really is full of himself, because that's the vibe that he gives. He gives the vibe of, I'm full of myself, I'm better than you, and I can legitimately kick your ass. I'm willing to cross the line. I'm not afraid of anybody. Don't come mess with me. I will get in your face. You do not want to get in my face. That is the vibe that Rush gives off. And so for that reason, Rush is long overdue for a big story here on AEW. Like, I want to see this man go out there and work with guys like Ricky Starks, for example. I want to see fresh stories here with guys that can really use the opportunity to come out and really show their characters and personalities in these different types of story. That's one example of who I would want to see him feud with. Jay White is another one. I know Jay White's a heel too, but damn, I would love to see this. I don't mind. I want to see a heel on heel thing. I'm cool with that. That's something I'd want to see too. I just think that there's a lot that they haven't even touched. I'm not even going to say scratch the surface, because at least they'd be scratching the surface. Bro, they haven't even touched the surface here. There's a lot more that can be done with Rush, and that's what I was thinking about here, because they spend certain times where there's a couple of periods where we're seeing him. It looks like they're building him up, and then nothing comes of it. I'm done with that. Like, let's go. I want to see a big story here for Rush. So I'm going to be waiting for it. I'm going to be keeping an eye out on that. So let's see. We got Sven Big, who says, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Blue Chew. Code Denise. Blue Chew code Denise, Sven Big. Oh, man. I'm very happy to see a lot of people here in this chat agree with the Rush comments, because dude is awesome. All right, but let's keep it going. We got 2 more matches to talk about for Collision, then we're going to go ahead and dive into Rampage. Timeless Toni Storm versus Anna Jay. 2 things I want to say about this. 1, they re-showed the Serena Deeb promo because nobody heard that on Dynamite due to the audio issues. And then she cut another promo here today that I liked. And I liked it for the simple fact that she told Toni Storm, this isn't a movie. I'm going to kick your ass and I'm coming for your title. As simple as that. That is exactly what I wanted from Serena Deeb. Nothing less, nothing more. I'm good with that. Cool. We get this match with Toni Storm and Anna Jay. And this is what I was thinking about. And I was thinking about, like, everyone, for the most part, I would say likes Anna Jay, right? Everyone here, like, she's never been a person where no one's ever like shitting on her. Like, she's Anna Jay. People like her. And lately, we have really been seeing Anna Jay grow into a hell of a performer in ring, a hell of a performer in ring. She really has. She is the person that I would say some people are like, hey, we always want to see more of Anna Jay. Like, what about Anna Jay? She's always that person that people are saying, what about Anna Jay? We've seen so many other girls get their moments. We still haven't really seen it for Anna Jay. And she's working so hard and she's been there for so long, right? So I started thinking, like, why is that? And I feel like the reason, and this is what I was thinking about, was when I think about Anna Jay, what can I honestly say about Anna Jay? 1, she works hard and she's got a lot more matches. She's gotten better in the ring. She was part of the Dark Order. That's it. Right? So what I was thinking about during this was we really need to find out, like, who is Anna Jay? Who is Anna Jay at a core, right? There has to be a little bit more there. And of course, we know that behind the scenes, she's dating Jack Perry. We know that. I don't know I don't know how if they're going to connect that or what the plan is. I have no idea. But the point is that I feel like we need to get more of a character, like more substance in there for Anna Jay, because if not, then she's always just going to be just Anna Jay. And in order to, go out there and get the big matches and get the championship belts, you always got to be a little bit more. And so she's already nailing it in the ring. Now it's just they got to sprinkle that the extra toppings on Anna Jay to make her one of the top girls in AEW, because I do firmly believe that she can get there. She definitely can get there. Just based on the in-ring work that we're seeing alone from Anna Jay, there's a good, strong possibility there for all of that. All right, so we got a super chat here from Booze on Life, who says, "Thank you, Denise, for the real coverage of AEW." I appreciate it, man. It gets hard sometimes covering, a little bit of everything, because your brain goes in different directions, but I genuinely enjoy covering all wrestling, and so I have a good time with it. Thank you so much to Boost on Life. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on here. Let's see, we got Sven Big, who says, "Spitting facts, Denise, also on the TBS app replay, there was no audio problem, so I heard Wednesday's Dynamite. Shout out to the chat." I think that Toni said it was just like a TBS issue. I know that I was watching on the DirecTV stream, and that thing was busted. And even they said they fixed the audio. It never felt fixed to me. Like, it felt like it got better, but it wasn't the normal audio that we would normally get. So it got improved upon, but I wouldn't say fixed. Fixed was a strong word. It was improved upon, just not fixed. But thank you so much to Sven Big. And we have a person here who says, I want to read this comment. This is from Career Hassan, who says, "I don't want Anna Jay and Jack Perry to be known in the ring. It reminds me of Sammy and Tay." Here's Sammy and Ty. Here's the thing, though. We're always talking about Jack Perry and the new heat that he's getting and all of this. I feel like in order to continue making him into, because they want to present him as a badass, right? Like, that's supposed to be the presentation of Jack Perry. Like, he's supposed to be like, I'm assuming he's supposed to be a badass. I mean, he took out his boss, right? He's got to be, he's out there with the leather jacket and he's doing all of this and everything. If they do pair him up with Anna Jay, his real life girlfriend, it can be interesting, because then it's like, oh, I hate this guy, right? Like, he's out there flaunting his gorgeous girlfriend. F him, man. And I think it can work. I think it can work. So we'll see. All right, so let's keep it going. I want to get into the Acclaimed versus Grizzled Young Vets. So Grizzled Young Vets out here, coming out, making their AEW debuts. That was a big thing for them. The last time I saw the Grizzled Young Vets, they were over, God, totally different worlds. But they were over on NXT, and they were with Joe Gacy, known as the Schism. And you would see shades here and there of, who they were, good wrestlers, solid wrestlers, of course, but there was really never much in terms of like the personality, just really wasn't there. Even with the Schism, really wasn't there, right? So, of course, based off of one match today, you can only really say so much about the Grizzled Young Vets here in AEW. Didn't really see anything too different from them. I mean, of course, they're not going out there in the dark clothes and the freaking, in the, the eyeshadow. I mean, they're not doing that anymore, but there really wasn't anything to write home about in regards to the Grizzled Young Veterans here tonight. What I do want to discuss, though, and I'm just going to be real with you guys on this one here, the Acclaimed. I am so happy to see them in tag team action and not trios action. I'm sorry, but I feel like them always having so many trios matches with Billy Gunn was bringing them down as a team. It was bringing them down. I mean, and then of course it didn't help that it was the shits, the whole storyline with the Bullet Club Gold. Not good. Whatever. We're moving on from that. The point is, I'm so happy to see them better off in tag team action. I think Billy Gunn just needs to do his thing on the side. I think that's where he shines the brightest, and not having to always be doing these trios matches. I think the Acclaimed way better off doing their tag team matches the way that they were doing before. And so they get the win. Cool. Please, let's bring down the trios matches. Keep it just Max and freaking Anthony Bowens. Just keep it there. Keep it there. That's where I'm at with that. Alrighty, so let's see what we got here. We got another super chat. This is from, oh no, actually, I already read that one. My bad. All right, we'll keep it going. Oh, actually, hey guys, some good news for you guys here. So I'm always kind of being annoying with these Apple Podcast reviews. All right. So I'm bringing out my my booker's hat here. I'm bringing out my promoter's hat right now, and I'm trying something new. So what I'm doing, this is a test, and depending on how it goes, hey, who knows, I might do more of this. But from now, starting today until let's say about like May 5th or so, I am going to be basically, if you go to Apple Podcast and you leave a review for the podcast, you will be automatically included into a raffle to win to watch Double or Nothing on pay-per-view for free. For free, Double or Nothing pay-per-view, as long as you go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review of my podcast. And all you have to do is, of course, leave your review. And in the actual review portion, just make sure you put like your handle, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram. Just put like Twitter at Jane Doe 1, whatever your handle is, or Instagram at Jane Doe 1, so that I know who you are. And on the May 8th episode of AEW Dynamite with myself and Reg, we will be announcing the winner, and it will be done in raffle style. So I will be like putting people's names in a jar and actually taking it out and doing it live, so you guys can see that, you know, we're not out here doing anything corrupt. It's not about that. Fair and square and all of that good stuff. So once again, head on over to Apple Podcasts, find my podcast, Instant Culture by Denise Salcedo, and leave a review with your handle on either Twitter or Instagram, or hell, maybe even your Facebook page, so that I can find you if you do win. And we're going to do the raffle on May 8th. And that is, of course, to win, to watch Double or Nothing for free on pay-per-view. This is my attempt. This is my attempt to get these reviews up. So don't let it flop, guys. Do not let it flop. This is me trying to book some good shit here on this podcast. All right, so there you go. Let's go ahead and get into Rampage, and then we'll wrap up the show. Of course, I will be back next week, Tuesday, to talk about NXT, Wednesday with Reg to talk about AEW Dynamite. Friday, I will be here with Robin to talk about SmackDown, of course, and they didn't say anything about Collision next week. I don't know if there's a Collision next week. Have they said? I'm not even too sure. But whatever. We'll find out later. So subscribe, do the thing, more content incoming. You'll see all that stuff. But let's go ahead and get into Rampage. So Rampage kicked off in a phenomenal way. So I'm so happy that they put this match first, because when you're coming off of Collision, the last thing you want, especially following that match between Swerve and Claudio, the last thing you want is for people to tune out and be like, "Oh, boring. We're going to Rampage. Let me tune out." You don't want that, of course. So what do you do to keep people's interest? Well, you put two guys out there fighting in a parking lot, having them bleed and hit each other with all of these weapons. Yeah, that's going to keep me around a little longer. So we kicked things off with the parking lot fight between Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta. And the thing that I loved most about this was that we didn't just get the basic, oh, I'm going to slam this guy's head into the freaking trunk. Oh, I'm going to throw him on a windshield. Cool, of course we did get that, but those are usually the basic things that we see in these types of fights. No, they really went, and I'm talking as a general because they have had parking lot fights in AEW before, and those were very well done as well, but whatever. Point is that they didn't go out there and just do boring spots. They went out there and they got really creative with a lot of what they did. Like, there was one particular spot that I really liked, and it may not have hit as hard as some of the other ones, but I really enjoyed it. And it was when who was it? Let me see really quickly who it was that did this. Damn. Who was it that did it? So it was literally this moment where, oh yeah. Okay, here it is. It was the slingshot from Trent to Chuck from underneath the trunk of the truck. So basically, like, the truck was open, the bed was open, and so it was down. the whole freaking door was down. So from underneath, he did the slingshot. And so his face went right into the freaking door of the trunk. And that was probably not like the biggest spot of the night, but it was something so creative that for me, it went a little bit of a longer way where I thought, oh, I love that. Because usually we're just focusing on the tops of the car, right? We're focusing on the roof. We're focusing on all of that. But this time it was like, no, I'm coming from the bottom. Like, I'm going to utilize all pieces of this vehicle to inflict pain on my opponent. And that's realistic. If your ass was in a Walmart parking lot brawl and you threw down, you're going to be using every single tool available to you. Of course, you probably shouldn't be fighting at the Walmart parking lot, but hey, you never know what happens. The point is, use everything available. And that to me was my favorite part. And there was some other cooler moments, of course, like the bigger one was the spot with the light tubes and the trash bin getting smashed right into there. Trent at one point did an elbow drop from one roof of the car to the other roof of the car. And, we started power bombs on the actual cars. All of that was very, very fun. And then eventually for the win, we do see Trent hit a pile driver on Chuck on the roof of the car. And then finally locks in a submission, gets the win. And at this point, they're completely bloodied up. But the big thing that I love about this, though, is Trent Beretta. You guys know I've been a Trent Beretta fan now for a while. Trent Beretta is one guy that I've always felt like they should have done more with him, and we're finally getting him. The visual, so after he had won this match, he still wanted to continue the attack on Chuck. Orange Cassidy came out and was trying to stop him and say like, hey man, it's enough. You already won this fight. Move on. And no, instead he got like some sort of tool. I forgot what it was, like a wrench or a hammer or something. And he ends up smashing the ankle of Chuck. And so he wouldn't stop even after he had won this fight. But what I loved was at the very end, you had this visual of him just like walking away, walking backwards and keeping that eye contact with Orange Cassidy of basically being like, I'm done. All of Trent's Fs were on vacation. They were all on vacation because he did not give a dang. He did not give a dang at all. And so we're getting this version of Trent Beretta that is intriguing. He doesn't care. He's a bad guy. There you go. It's as simple as that. He is a bad guy. But Don Callis was watching this. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, is he going to join the Don Callis family? Like, what's happening here? Is he going from one friendship group to another one? Like maybe a psycho weird one, but I think he's leaping. He's jumping over to the other side. I'm guessing he might join the Don Callis family. I don't know. But that was intriguing, though. It was intriguing to see Trent act that way. It was intriguing to see the match. And it was intriguing to see Don Callis watching. So like I said, they gave you a purpose and a reason to tune into Collision and gave you a purpose and a reason to want to tune into Dynamite. And again, they don't always do that on Collision. So that is why Collision was a hit for me today. All righty. We got a few more matches here to talk about. I'm going to probably speed a little bit through these because there's not so much that I really want to deep dive into in regards to these. But Deonna Purrazzo versus Thunder Rosa was a good one. I think really the moment I liked most actually was when Deonna tied up Thunder Rosa on the ropes. I don't even know what she did. She like crisscrossed her arms, crisscrossed her legs, tied her up on the rope. No idea. Can't break that down. Deonna Purrazzo is very good when it comes to stuff like that. She made her into a pretzel. That was a highlight. Thunder Rosa wins. Great victory for Thunder Rosa. She's been on a nice little roll the last couple of months, so good for her. After this is where I kind of started to feel tired. This is where I started to feel exhausted, and I was like, yep, 3 hours is too much. Plus, we didn't start at the top of the hour. I think we started at 20, 25 minutes into the hour. And so all of the times were completely thrown off. So when Collision would normally end, it was still going. And when you thought Rampage was about to start, Collision was still going. So everything just completely felt off in terms of the timings. It sort of messed me up a bit. So again, I kind of I got a little tired at this point. But this was a match between Big Bill and Trevor Blackwell. And even with that said, again, you guys know how I feel about these matches. And I did not hate this one for the simple reason that it's simple. Big Bill wants to impress Chris Jericho. For whatever reasons, he wants to join the learning tree. All right. That's what he wants. So he wants to impress him. And so he goes out there and instead of just squashing this guy and winning in like 10 seconds, no, he prolonged the beatdown of Trevor and he sulked into it. He let himself marvel at beating this man's life. And it was actually kind of fun to see. I liked that every time you thought he was going to go for the 3 count, he was like, nah, you know what? He's going to get a little bit more. Eventually he wins. Good stuff. I actually liked what he did there. And Jericho's watching on the television. And my question is, while I was watching Chris Jericho watch the match, why is Chris Jericho still wearing the Lion Hook t-shirt? Honest, why is he still wearing the Lion Hook t-shirt? Why? Dude, he don't even like you. He don't even want to be on the team with you. You pushed his daddy and you're still wearing the Lion Hook t-shirt? All right. This is screaming, can't get over my ex vibes right now. He needs to get over Hook. Needs to get over it. Anyways, that's where we got there with Big Bill, Jericho, and Trevor Blackwell. And last but not least, we had Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty versus Daniel Garcia and Shibata. I feel bad because this match was not bad. However, I didn't have as much interest for it, primarily because I really wasn't too familiar with what the story was here. Again, guys, sometimes you miss things when you don't watch certain shows. You guys know my viewership of Rampage and Collision. So sometimes, and even if you do see it, sometimes you forget if it's not like front in your face every single week. And so even though the match was pretty decent, I did lose interest in this actual matchup though. But again, there were some good moments in it. Of course, when you have Shibata in there going at it and Daniel Garcia being fun with his whole dancing, and it becomes enjoyable. But at that point, I was ready to wrap and start to do this post show. But Daniel Garcia and Shibata get the win. So honestly, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud that I made it through most of the show without getting tired on a Saturday. It worked out. Alrighty, guys. That, my friends, was Collision and Rampage here today. That was the show. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you guys so much. And again, do not forget, if you want a chance to get to watch Double or Nothing for free, head on over to the Apple Podcasts app and leave a review. Make sure to put your username so I know who you are. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys very much. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone.